Does Phoenix know Junrai? I don't know who she is, but maybe it's a new OC or something, I don't know. All the evidence has pointed to it from the start. While Miss Rai may be a stranger to you, I am most decidedly not. You're an almighty fool with a penchant for bluffing, who's kind-hearted to a fault. Honestly, you're still the same bright-eyed child from our school days at heart. Do you really expect me to believe that Phoenix Wright... Oh, that Phoenix Wright murdered a man in cold blood? Well, maybe I just did what you did, Edgeworth. Oh yes, and what, pray tell, would that be? I grew up and became the demon defense attorney. I see, so that's what you mean. Right, I know that things haven't looked good for you lately, but this is completely ridiculous. This isn't about that, Edgeworth. Besides, if this was all so ridiculous, what are you doing at the prosecutor's bench? Just as I thought. But why? Why would you do any of this? Isn't it obvious? I hit the victim's head against the bed and rubbed his blood on my head to fake being unconscious. It was all meticulously planned for the sake of making it look like someone had knocked me out. That's not what I was asking, damn it! Oh. Well, that's all I'm going to say on the matter. You'll just have to make do with it. I mean, I've turned whole cases around on less before. That's true. Fine. Then add it to your testimony. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to present something. Accept the challenge, I see. Alright. Mr. Wright, I'm the one who decides that. I see no reason not to indulge the defense's request, Your Honor. No objections? Fantastic. It was all meticulously planned for the sake of making it look like someone had knocked me out. Okay, well, there's the visitors list I could use. Or I could just present the medical report. I'm making a safe save. Hey, right. It's not meticulously planned at all. Objection! You meticulously planned this. No. That's not true. That's called denial, you know. Mr. Wright, would you consider yourself a stupid man? Well, not personally, no, but honorable men beg to differ. Even then, I doubt that a lawyer of all people would forget that the fact that medical reports are a thing. Blood without a wound is incredibly suspicious. Well, it's not like I had a better way of faking being unconscious. What do you mean? Of course you had a better way of faking it. Why didn't you do it for real? It's not like there was a shortage of things to hit your head on, and it wouldn't have been hard. So how about it? Why didn't you just ram your head against something? Why didn't you just ram your head against something? Oh. That's it? Oh? I suppose I just didn't think of that. Must have been an oversight. Even though you said you meticulously planned a murder? It happens. Everyone forgets something important here and there. Besides, I'm confessing. There's really no reason why I'd lie, is there? The court is inclined to agree with Mr. Wright. There's really no reason not to accept his confession right now. And the idea that this was merely an oversight seems likely enough. But, Your Honor... No buts. Return to your cross-examination, Miss Rai. Right. Damn it, if this keeps up, he really is going to end up executed. What happened to end up for the rest of his days in jail? Well, I guess that's the same, technically. There was nobody else at the scene. Oh, wait. There's no way this is true. There's no way to kill someone. Which means there has to be a contradiction somewhere in here, yeah? Okay. Never pressed this. Stop, Mr. Wright. This is enough. You don't have to go through with this. Oh? But this is what you asked for. And here it is. This is the truth. It's not my fault if you can't handle it. I did it. I killed that person. It can't be. This whole case. It can't be because of... It's not worth it. You can't keep going on with this. There's no way this is true. There's no way... Okay, they definitely know each other. The question is what? Oh, April, May! Yeah! It fits! April, May. Pink hair and 4-letter first name and 3-letter the second name. But that'd be weird. Why would I be playing as April, May? Well, whatever. It's just my theory right now. Completely forgot about that character and now remembering that she was pink and everything. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to present something else here. Because visitors list, right?
Objection!
He meticulously planned this, huh? Ha! That's just another one of his bluffs. Mr. Wright, if you meticulously planned everything to make it look like you were knocked out, then there's no way you'd have made such a massive blunder. A massive blunder? Me? Don't be silly. You know me. I'm the epitome of well-thought-out, careful plans.
Objection!
Oh, really? And did your clever plan involve actually researching the location of the murder? Because if it did, why does this exist? The visitors list? I'm afraid I don't follow. Well, think of it like this, Your Honor. If Mr. Wright was knocked out, there'd have to have been some sort of attacker. Of course, no doubt he'd have tried to frame them as the real killer too. Right, because there would have had to have been the third party at the scene to knock him out. In fact, that was the whole reason that he pretended he was knocked out, wasn't it? Guilty as charged. Really not the best choice of words there. Well, in any case, because of the visitors list at the jail, pretending a third party existed was impossible. After all, he was the only person to visit the entire block that day. And remember, Mr. Wright himself was the one to sign into that list. Meaning he should have immediately seen that he was the only person there at that day. Meaning, there would have been nobody to frame. Surely that much would have been cause for alarm when deciding to continue on with the plan, right? Right. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say to that? Not much. I suppose it must have just slipped in my mind, that's all. Slipped your mind? Yeah, it sometimes happens when you get old. You're 28! You're in your 20s. You're way too young to use that excuse. You're not that old. Ah, so you finally admit it. Admit what? Are you trying to get yourself killed here? I'm just telling the truth like you asked me to. There's nothing to say I didn't just forget, is there? Miss Wright, this is twice now that your objections have gone nowhere. Oh, nowhere, sorry. Frankly, I'm inclined to just accept the defense's confession. That is... You can't do that, Your Honor. I mean, the defendant... I just proved that... He clearly didn't plan to murder out, so... But murder is still a murder. It is quite possible that he came up with the entire plan on the spot after killing Mr. White. That would explain how he couldn't have remembered the details of the visitor's list. And how he was in such a rush that he overlooked a major issue of the wound. Huh. I didn't actually think of that. What? What are you trying to pull here, Phoenix? Now is not the time to be growing a brain, Your Honor.
Hold it!
Come now, Your Honor. Wright's plan is absurd even on paper. His confession is insane! Mr. Edgeworth, it is quite clear that you are not objective on the matter. I'm being completely logical, Your Honor. I'm afraid that I simply see no room for misinterpretation. Mr. White is dead, and it was possible for only one man. I am sorry, Mr. Edgeworth, but I'm afraid you are biased. I am not quite sure how the prosecutor's office made such an oversight in giving you this case. Yeah, normally people who are involved in trials, they must not be related to defendants and stuff like that, you know, because otherwise there's going to be biased attitudes going on, you know? I was willing to accept it at first, but it's quite obvious that you are... Right, for God's sake, the man is going to find you guilty. Whatever you're planning, whatever you were planning, stop it. You've lost too much to lose your life, as well. Finally waking up, are you? It remains the court's position to accept the defense's confession. Furthermore, as long as Mr. Wright was the only person who could have murdered the victim, this court doesn't see any particular reason for this case to go on. Shoot! What am I supposed to do? Every time I raise an objection, it just gets cut down. In the end, I'm just as useless as I always have been. I can't do anything right. Like thinking instead of talking. I really thought I could save the day this time. That was Mia! I saw that! That was Mia! You all saw it, right? That was Mia. And what is he doing? Why was he confessing all of a sudden? Is this all just some kind of revenge against me? Does he hate me that much? Haven't I suffered enough?
Hold it.
Your Honor, I once again urge you to listen to reason. Can we really say that Wright is definitely the killer? I'm sure there are still questions left in need of explaining. Like what, Mr. Edgeworth? Well, none spring to mind on the fly. Then just what are you doing, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm just being thorough, that's all. Once again, he, defendant, was found in the victim's cell, faking being unconscious. And on top of that, there was no other possible person who could have been there. The visitors list attests to that. Even if there's no camera in the cell, we have that list. So, tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, how could any other murderer possibly exist? Well, yes, I suppose that makes sense, but it should. It was your argument. Now then, if there are no further objections, this court has reached its conclusion. This court finds the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Objection. Please? Yeah, obviously. No. Excuse me, Miss Wright? I said... No! She has red eyes. Or red eye, because she only has a left eye. Your Honor, I can't let you end this trial. I can't let you end this trial. He won't fight for himself, so I have to fight for him. I suppose, in the end, that's what defense attorneys do. And what's ultimately why I'm here. And that's ultimately why I'm here. I don't know why he's lying, but that doesn't matter right now. I need to keep pushing. His Honor wants to end the trial, and I have a pretty good idea why. But I can't let him do that. No matter what kind of man he might be now. I'm still one of the few that remember the kind he was. You do know him, April May. And a murderer he was not. And for better or worse, that's what I have to keep believing. I'm not done yet. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. You've coaxed a very important question out of his honor. Have I? No? There's only one way forward, really. Mr. Wright is being considered guilty because he's the only suspect, right? But what if another possible murderer could exist? Then you'd have to continue the trial. You'd have no choice. Another murderer? I don't see how that's possible, Miss Wright. But I can, and that's what matters here, right? You can see? And here I thought, with her dead hair and all. Hey, at least I have hair. Oh, you don't say that out loud. In any case. Miss Wright, as I have stated numerous times by now, I see no reason to prolong this trial. One chance. However, I will not have it be said that I passed the verdict that I have because of the defendant's past transgressions against this court. Know, however, that should you fail... Oh, there will be a consequence. Okay, so it's not one chance. It's roughly 33%. They always are. Now that I have a double penalty over and over my head, it's much scarier than I thought. Right, Your Honor, no problem. I know what I'm doing. Do you now? Well, this will be interesting, if nothing else. How far are you willing to go for this, I wonder? As far as I need to. You didn't kill anyone. And now it's time to show it. The moment of truth! Evidence. My list of suspects as those they get. So whoever remains as the only other possible suspect has to be the real killer. I mean, now that I think about it, it's simple enough. There was only one other suspect there that night. And that suspect would have easily gone past security for a very good reason. Alright, here we go. Showtime. The robot? Either the robot or Barker. Well, I'm gonna blame the robot. When you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. And sometimes the simplest solution is the right solution all along. The defense accuses the only other thing that was at the prison that night. Isaac, the robot! No, no, they do not! I can understand your desperation, Miss Fry, but this is bordering on the bad joke. I don't see why it would be. Because the guard in question is a robot! Well, your own detective warned you, didn't he? About the robot uprising? Besides, with all the shouting and sudden red eyes, we should have seen it coming from a mile away. This is not going to turn out this way. That's not exactly an argument for an accusation. So it's... I guess Barker Tortimer might be the one who did it, but he doesn't look guilty at all. And it'd be kind of disappointing that one of the OCs was the murderer. If the guard themselves were the killer, they never would have had to have signed in, right? Yeah, I was going to mention that. The real killer never signed in. On top of that, they were definitely there the whole night. They definitely had the opportunity. So was the security camera. Why? Oh, I think I get it now. I'm playing as April May, and she's the one who killed Red White. Somehow. Like, I haven't thought that far ahead, but she's the one who somehow killed Red White, maybe through poison or something. And then Wright walked in on her, and she was disguised as... Okay, never mind. I'll just keep playing, and we'll see what happens. So was the security camera. Why don't you accuse them as well? Face it, you don't have any evidence to support such a ludicrous claim. Well, there's the red flashing light and the big exclamation mark. That's usually a bad sign. Furthermore, the victim was increasingly agitated in the days leading up to his death. Yeah, because someone else was coming. Maybe he was afraid of the guard? Maybe the guard had tried to kill him before? What is this? Freddy Fazbear's animatronic murder hut? This is completely ludicrous. There is absolutely no solid proof supporting this. But I didn't need to prove anything, did I? All I had to do was provide a possibility. Well, there's certainly a possibility, isn't it? It's certainly something, but I wouldn't call it a possibility in the slightest. But you can't prove it didn't happen. And that's where you're wrong, Pinky Babe. I've got some ace evidence over here. Please don't call me that. Hi, Barker. Wait, what? Yeah, baby. Groovy. Swooping in at the last second to save the day. That's America. That's my jam. Tubular. For the life of me, I still can't decide if you are trying to be a hipster or a country singer. Bah, it doesn't matter. You had something to share? Heh. All it took was knowing all the 411 on where people were getting some gnarly bean. And then all I had to do was squeal that dealio to the rest of the fuzz. Big time. Boom. Promotion. Mr. Edgeworth, translation, please. I have no clue, Your Honor. Detective, I suggest you better start making sense and getting to the point. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will have to leave the stand. Serious, Daddy-O? Alright, no sweat. I'm on it. Legit. Okay, so I'm no Herb, but even I figured that the robot's not just there for show, right? So I called up the Dexters in charge of Duke Kiki and had them fill me in on the lowdown. Well, get this. Seems Metal Man's around so they don't have the guard going off for a leak. After all, we'd be in some deep fudge if someone sneaked past while they're off having a whiz. I still have no idea what you're saying. Unfortunately, I do. I'm afraid that fact has completely slipped my mind. I don't get it. What does that have to do with proving the robot's innocence? Hey now, take a chill pill, doll. I'm getting there. So anyway, There's the visitors list to check the names of what guests were chilling at the cooler. But how do you suppose they double check these identities if something Mondalome happens? I mean, you can't just leave everything up to machines, and those bad boys can get confused. It's rare, but a good enough disguise might trick our bucket of nuts and bolts, right? So that's when a true hardworking American jumps in and takes a look. What I'm saying is that Isaac's peeper is not just for seeing things. It's also a security camera. Didn't we already know this? And would you believe it? Scoping out that scene on Robocop doesn't leave once. Dude totally has an alibi for the whole night. For sure! Run that by me again? The robot has a security camera installed in it. And its tape shows that not only was Wright the only person on the scene, but that the robot never left his post once until the time of this discovery. Before you argue, the footage has timestamps which confirm all this, making it impossible for him to be the killer. Didn't really make much sense to begin with, if you ask me. Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. Aw, come on, don't be mad. You tried. And you did so after I told you it was all hopeless. I would say sorry, but I wasn't exactly wrong, now was I? Me? See, I can ominously say my name too. It's not that hard. Right. It seems like getting dramatic here. I will ask you one last time. Whatever you are doing here, you must stop. You keep saying that, but I can't say I know what you're talking about. Tell me, Edgeworth, if you never believed I was truly guilty, then why, just minutes ago, were you confidently stating I was the only culprit? Did it take you all that time to realize that what you were suggesting could actually be true? Impossible to even imagine, I know. Or maybe you just weren't thinking at all. Or did you maybe think I'd somehow turn it all around, like I always did? That I somehow found a magical last minute out? I trusted the evidence. But I didn't want to believe it was true. I think that might be your exhaustion talking then. The Edgeworth I knew would have never said something like that. And the Wright I knew would have never taken a life. He would have never forged evidence either, but as you can see, things change. People change. The fact that you're letting your personal feelings towards me impair your judgment. How do you expect a fair verdict to be reached? Common sense tells you that I am guilty, and you wish to defy it? Everything points towards me. And yet, your instinct tells you that I'm innocent, right? But a verdict isn't brought like that, is it? No. It's brought by a single man whose only job is to be swayed by either side. The judge. Mr. Wright, I will not tolerate this. As you shouldn't, Your Honor. I've already made my point, anyway. I failed to see what it was. You all blindly followed the evidence. But what if the evidence is what ultimately stops a fair verdict from being reached? I think those are the ravings of a bitter man that can't accept that he lost something he cared for. Oh, I think I'm getting it, actually. This is a prelude to Phoenix coming up with the jurist system, right? It never really panned out, but it seems to be based on that. Lots of people really like what Apollo Justice brought to the table. It brought a lot of fan wink with Phoenix, you know? Evidence is evidence. Without it, then we might as well be blind savages. How you could have said something so frankly idiotic just now is beyond me. Ah, but that's not exactly what I meant, though. That is exactly what you meant. A fair verdict is not the same with the outcome you expected. And frankly, you are in no position to question my integrity. But fair enough. I will do as is my duty then. I tried, right? I tried to act as a friend. I know. The prosecution has no further objections to Mr. Wright being the killer. It's strange you had any to begin with, really. Wait, no, you can't. Of course I can. Still, I do have one last question. Why? If you killed him, tell me. Why? And why does that matter? Everything's as crystal clear as it's going to get. My motive can be simple. It can be complex, but it hardly changes what I've done. There is no justification for murder, is there? Answer the question right. And why should I? Why shouldn't you? Mr. Edgeworth, I'm afraid I don't see how the motive changes the facts. At last, we agree, Your Honor. People don't care about this why done it these days. Anyway. This is not detective fiction, right? Answer the question. Isn't it obvious? He killed Mia. And that's it? That's your reason for all this? You say that like there's a problem. You've been quiet for a while, Miss Rye. Huh? I hope that you have been listening up to this point, yes? Yeah, sure. Then let me ask you simply this. Where is the issue in what Wright has just stated? Wait, hold on. What do you mean? So you weren't paying attention, after all. Wright has stated that his motive was Maya Fey's murder. And you take issue with that. You told me to trust my common sense, did you not? Well, common sense is telling me that you're an idiot. Because your explanation makes absolutely no sense. Just like the majority of your actions that night. I see. I had no doubt you would. So, let me ask you again. Where is the issue in what Wright has just stated? I think I know. The victim was going to be executed 2 years from now. The heart must not be ignored, Mr. Wright. The heart is what makes us human. And no matter what you may think, you are still very much human. And so, I will not ignore yours. You claim you killed him because of what he did to Mia, but that doesn't make sense. Don't know what you mean. Who am I kidding at this point? Why would you go out of your way to kill someone like Red White in the first place? After all, he was already on death row. Order! Order! In fact, this entire murder has never made sense from the start. Why would anyone have wanted to do this? All they had to do was wait 2 more years. And it's been over 4 since Mia's murder. Surely you could have waited those 2 years out, couldn't you? And heck, even then, it doesn't make sense. You avenged Mia's death by being the person who convicted him in the first place. Why is it that now, after 4 years, you suddenly developed an urge to kill him? There's just no rhyme or reason to it. So what? Huh? The motive hardly changes anything. The facts, the evidence is still there. I fail to see an alternate explanation here. Who cares about the motive? I killed him. Are you listening to me? I killed him. Me. Why are you doing this? For the last time, I'm not doing anything. But Mr. Edgeworth... I stand by what I said. Good. At least you still value my advice. Face it. It's over. It was over before it began, really. Really? Oh, we're back here now. I was an idiot making an idiot's choice. And look at me now. I'm right back where I started, about to lose. I think I actually might have... Where we read this? So I guess it might, in fact, end with Phoenix guilty. Well, maybe not. But then again, you hate me too, don't you? After all, under this bad makeup and this cheap wig, behind this fake name and this badge I have no right to wear, is still me. What?!